Hello everyone. Well, in this part of this tutorial, we'll see how to use Qubit for state management, or how to understand the most basic idea about state management. And after that, we'll combine all these pages we have built so far, these pages, for our Qubit app. But anyway, first I'll explain the basic idea, most basic idea, and understanding how to use Qubit in your app and what is Qubit. That's what I'll explain first. Well, for this one, you can come to my website over here. I'll put a link to this. It gives you some most basic idea, the clear and straightforward way. Because most of the apps I have seen or the websites, I don't think they have very good idea. But anyway, so I'll explain to you how I understand, okay? So your app needs a Qubit or Qubit package for state management, right? So here is your Qubit package. So once you have Qubit package in your app, so that Qubit should have two things that you should do. You should have states and you should have Qubit. So you need to create states. You also need to create Qubit for this package. And from this package, you can understand it like this. And then your UI will interact with this. That's the most basic idea. And your states will have data, the data you want to rebuild, the data you want to change. And based on that change, you want to trigger rebuild of UI, okay? All right, so those data should be here within the states, okay? Our state should have access to those data. Well, now those data are there, and if some of the data are changed, or you want to rebuild the UI or show something new on the screen, then you should use emit function. Emit function will have hold or will have idea about the states, okay? Now this emit function should be within the Qubit. So you create state should hold data, and because they're in the same package, so Qubit will know about states, and then they'll emit the states. Emitting state means that, hey, I know that you want to do something new or you change the variable, so I should let the app know. To do that, we'll use emit function to do it, and our Qubit package will know it and it will redraw the UI, okay? So that's what the most basic idea about Qubit, and that's my understanding. Well, the bigger idea is that your UI, Qubit, and repository will talk with the server. It will send a request and get back response from server, okay? All right, so as well, again, the Qubit should have your Qubit package, or app Qubit should have Qubit and states. And another idea that we should know, so our Qubit app should have block provider and block builder. While using block provider, we can create Qubit and we'll also hold the Qubit. Now, block builder, they'll check on the qubits. They'll check on the states, okay? And based on that states, we'll trigger something. So two important ideas. Block provider will create and hold our Qubit, and as well as our block builder will check on the states and let us know which state we want to trigger or we want to go ahead with, okay? So it's very important. All right, so that's the most basic idea about Qubit. Now we'll go ahead and continue. So after this picture, you know that first we need to install this package, then we need to create classes for our states. We also need to create classes for our Qubit. So that's what we will do, just according to this picture. So let's come over here, come to this file. So go ahead and install these three packages and do get pub, okay? So now Flutter Cubit is a subset of BLoC, and the package name is Flutter BLoC, okay? And we also need another package to work with BLoC and Flutter, and they work pretty much together. But of course, it could work independently with other projects. I'll explain what it is a little later. Now, the first thing we want to do, we want to create a new folder or directory, and we'll call it Qubit, okay? And within Qubit, we want to create a file for our states. So we'll call it app Qubit states.dart. And we'll create another file for our qubits. So we'll call it app qubits.dart. Well, the first thing, as I said earlier, from here we understand we need to create states first. Okay, that's what we'll do. So over here we'll create an abstract class first, and the class name is say Qubit states, and it'll extend another package or class that's EQA equatable. Okay, I'll explain why we need this thing. Now based on this class, now we'll create another two classes. Okay, now this is an abstract class, so another class could extend this class as well, right? So the class name is initial state extends Qubit states. Okay, now it will ask you to do something, overriding one method, which is this one, and I'll remove this and put like this, and I'll explain what is this. And I'll copy this one and put it over here. I'll change the name and we'll call it welcome state. Now what is this initial state and what is this class for? Well, every Qubit app, they should have one initial state. When we first create Qubit, we should pass a state class or a state function. So that's what we'll do over here. Okay, it could be a class, it could be a function, it doesn't really matter. So that we should initialize that one, every Qubit app. So that's why we have this one. And once that is done, we want to trigger a new state. That state name is welcome state. This welcome state would be responsible for showing this page on the screen once the initialization has been done. So that's why we have this too. We can remove that because we're not really passing any object to it, so it's okay. Now what is this for? So over here, actually you put the data that should be changed. Like as I said earlier, states should hold data. If you come over here, so the data that should be changed, and those data should create rebuild of UI. So that should be within here, but for now we are not going to use any data because this page doesn't really going to do any dynamic update of data, at least for now. In future we'll change it. So that's why these are empty. So if I had a variable, say int x, and I want this variable to be changed in the app, and based on this variable I also want to retrigger or trigger a new build, I'll declare it here and then I'll put it here. So if my app changed this variable, I will automatically get a rebuild of that part for the UI. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. But we're not doing any of this thing, so we'll keep it empty. So with this, according to this file, our states has been created for now. And now we'll go ahead and create Qubit, or create a class for Qubit. That's the better way of understanding. So here in this file, we'll create a class for our Qubit. And we'll call it class app Qubits. And it should extend Qubit. Okay. Now let's see. It's asking you to import this package. Now here it's asking you to initialize the super constructor. As I said earlier, over here, every class they'll have initial state. So this is our initial state. Every app that uses Qubit, they should have one initial state. So this is our initial state. So we need to call our initial state from here. So I'll call it initial state. So that's the class. Okay, and we don't need this one anymore. We can keep it empty. All right. So with this, our initial state would be done. Okay. Yeah. And once the initial state has been done, actually for initial state, as you see, nothing is happening. Okay. Once the initial state has been done, we want to emit a new state to show the welcome page. So that's why here we'll write emit, and here we'll write welcome page, welcome welcome state, this one. So first the initialization has been done, then we'll trigger another state. That state is this one. So that's how they work. First this one, and automatically we'll call this one. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. So with this, we are done with extending our qubit. And using this file, now somewhere we can create qubit. Because our app still doesn't know that there is a qubit in our app. So we need to find a way to let our app know that we are going to use qubit in this app or UI. Okay? To do that, we'll do it from the entry point of our app, which is main.dart. Okay? We know that so far this has been the entry point because of this we see this UI, right? Yeah. So this is the perfect place for injecting our qubits or creating a qubit. So now we'll use this one to create a qubit and inject it to the app. Inject means using, okay? Or this is also dependency. So our app depends on this. So we want to put it here, inject it. Now, if you come over here, you'll see that I said we need a block provider to create qubit and hold the qubit, okay? Like that. So now if you come over here, our file, now this should be our entry point, right? Okay. So, well, before we go ahead and inject our qubit over here, we need to do one more thing. Now, if you come over here, we also need to send a state type, okay? So we would call here app qubit states, this one, okay? Because I said earlier that if we have states, our qubit would somehow know that we have states or state classes like this. How does it know? It knows like this, okay? Because you need to tell that what kind of states my qubit should have. So based on this one, it knows, okay, well, states are coming from here and they're this type, okay? Hopefully it makes sense. Now over here, what we'll do, we'll remove this one, okay? Now we'll use block provider. As I said earlier, we use block provider to create qubits, okay, or inject qubits. So here we would call app qubits, this one, okay. Now here, if you hover over on it, it has one mandatory argument, which is create. You should use this one. And you also see that it takes a function, okay. In our case, we want to pass the class as a function. So you do create. And what is our class or function over here? That's app qubits. Well, it has an error. Well, the one thing we need to do, as you can see from here, that it takes a context. So we need to pass the context. Okay, now the error should be gone. And if you hover over on it, well, there is another parameter that we could use. That's the child. But of course, this is optional. But here we can still use that one. So we need to pass a child that holds all these qubits, or that can access the qubits, or that can check the qubits or the states, okay? Like this. So, well, we don't have this child yet. So what do we need to do? We need to go ahead and create one. So over here, we'll create a new file. We'll call it app qubit logics.dart. Okay. Well, this is the file that should that should hold our states in qubit. And we also said that early. So this is the file that should hold our states and check on the states. Okay. So anyway, we'll create a stateful class over here, and stateful class, we'll call it app qubit logics. Okay. All right. And we need to import some of the libraries. And here, instead of container, we'll return scaffold. Now, scaffold should have body. Now, we saw earlier that we can use BlocBuilder to create or check, actually to check on the states, because we already have states over here, so we can check on them. But to check on them, we need to check them through BlocBuilder. So over here we would implement or go ahead and create BlocBuilder. So BlocBuilder. Okay, all right. Now BlocBuilder should have ideas about our qubits and states. So here we'll call app qubits, this one, and app state, sorry, qubit states, this one. Okay, all right. So just like any other builder, it takes a builder property. Okay, and like any other builder, it takes two parameters, this builder property. First one is context, other one is state. So pretty much in Flutter, whenever you see the builder, it takes a builder property, and builder property should take a function. Okay, so it takes a function over here. So now once we have this BlocBuilder, now using this one, we can check on the states. All right. Now we saw early that when our qubit is created first time, there is an initial state. This get triggered automatically, and after that we trigger a new state, which is welcome state. But now this has been triggered, but app wouldn't know about it. So you have to find it, and finding it is very easy. How to do that? We can do it logically over here. So we could do if state is welcome state. Okay, all right. Then you return something. Return what? Welcome page. So this is a page we are returning, or file, or class. Okay, if we don't find anything, for now we'll return an empty container. If there is no state found, we return empty container. So once again, what happens here? So this is the initial state that get triggered automatically. Then welcome state gets triggered. Okay, so this is this state over here, this one. We find it. So it's just a naming that this is happening after initial state. So we can find actually this name. That's all. So it's a hint to the app. Well, this is happening right now. So this is a stage that is happening. Well, if this is happening, then take me there, or show me this, or do this, or do that. So this states over here, another simple understanding, it's just some names that's happening. First, this is happening. This is the name, and then this is happening, and here is the name. Okay, so if this is happening, show me this, show me that. So we do conditional check. That's what we said earlier. Using BlocBuilder, we check on the states. As we do it, we emit the states. Okay, let's go ahead and check it. Now we might have an error. Let's see what's happening. Okay, and it says that main dart, so let's go ahead and find our main dart, which is this one. Sorry, so I guess we are missing some. Oh, sorry, so we are missing something here. So as I said, that block provider, so it should create our qubits and hold the qubits. So here, this one, actually you see here we have qubits and states. So that's what I meant by holding qubits. Okay, so we need to call this class over here. So here we'll call app qubit logics. Okay, this is the child. So create the qubit and show the logic using within this. Okay, and based on that, do conditional check. So let's go ahead and run it. And looks like we have another issue. Anyway, so I restarted my app and it worked. Okay, that's all. Because there's a change of the state, so sometimes you need to restart your app, and then it worked, so there were no problems. So yeah, that's it. So here we're able to trigger a new page, okay, using this qubit. Isn't it excellent? So this is the first thing we have done. So we created over here several states, and after that within Qubit we initialized the first state, and after that we triggered another emit, which means another state. Okay, and then over here using BlocBuilder we have found that state, and based on that state we are redirecting. So right now here my understanding is it also works more like routes. It tells you either go here or go there, conditional check. Okay, hopefully you understood, and this is the most basic idea about qubits. Thank you.